might take you home. With this, I might give you all of it. Come get your dose of the sweetest pie.
Incredible. One of the worst performances of my career, and they never doubted it for a second.
You want to know how I know this is false? And that anybody who ever says they experienced this is lying? This is me in 2016 and parts of 2017. I wore this damn hat every single day to class. I was taking a class called Peace and Social Justice Studies. As the name implies, it was about peace and social justice. The teacher was a former German citizen, and it was more anti-fascist than Antifa. Basically, I submitted a Fox News version of a research paper about reverse racism. Because, you know, I was part of a cult that somehow believed that was a thing. I was basically Carlson Tucker of my university. But anyway, I submitted this paper. And he said, while he disagrees with me, I completed every criteria of the paper. And therefore, I got full credit. So please, don't tell me you experienced this. That you somehow have to lie. Because then I will call you a liar. Y'all are just looking for something to cry about.
65% of people regret their cosmetic surgery. 0.27% of trans people regret their gender affirming surgery. So tell me why on this good sunny day we are so stressed about trans people changing their minds. Why are we stressed? Why are we stressed? Stress about your nose jobs. Stress about your breast enhancement surgery. Not about my flat chest. Thank you. Thank you.
This is not inclusive. This is not inclusive. This is not inclusive. You cannot justify these being the darkest shade. Makeup companies make a lot of money. As a company, you cannot value inclusivity when these are the darkest shades that you have to offer, because it's not inclusive. This is inclusive. This is inclusive. And although inclusive, they can go darker. This is inclusive. I want you guys to take a look at this first shade right here. This is the Fenty Beauty Skin Tint. It is the darkest foundation I have ever used in my life. Right here we have Charlotte Tilbury, and right here we have NARS. Although NARS and Charlotte Tilbury could go darker in their shades, this gives us something to work with. Now I want you to take a look at this and this. You cannot tell me as a company that this is the darkest shade that you could have created. You cannot tell me that you value inclusivity if this is the darkest shade that you created. Be real.
As an Anishinaabe lesbian, the only Pride merch I want to buy this month is this hat right here. Rainbow capitalism can fuck off. Fish hat is forever.
What not to do if you're stuck in this position. Kicking from here would be very ineffective and it would make you off balance. Dropping to the floor would give them the opportunity to get on top of you and even choke you from behind. Headbutts are hard to pull off, you could easily hurt yourself, and they can easily move out of the way and you could completely miss. Trying to push up or down on the arms is pretty ineffective, especially if they're very strong and a waste of energy. Do this instead. Loosen the grip by flaring the elbows and try to get yourself a little to the side. From here you can throw back fists to the groin. You want to try to step one leg behind their leg and trip them. Make sure you try to stay standing when you knock them to the ground and don't get pulled down with them.
So we all know that June is Pride Month, but did you know that June is also Vitiligo Awareness Month? So all month I'm going to be answering some fun facts and questions about the condition. To start off simple, it's called vitiligo, and it's not contagious, it doesn't hurt. Some people are born with it. I wasn't though. I only started getting it 5 years ago. I used to really hate it, but now it's honestly my favorite accessory. Obviously, I had to start with the pride flag, or pan flag, sorry. I hope you guys like it, and comment down below which flag I should do next.
That's insane. So we're getting married in 4 days, which means it is exactly the right time to answer some frequently asked questions about a non-binary marriage. Question number 1, if we're not going to be pronounced husband and wife, what will we be pronounced? Married. Our officiant is going to say, I now pronounce you married. I think that's been in vogue for gay couples for a while, and so we're just going to use that. Question number 2. After the wedding ceremony, what will we call each other?
Whatever we fucking want.
I can't say fuck because it's a school one. Because the kids, they come in.
Whatever we want.
We talked about this one for a super long time because we didn't like the idea of using husband. Spouse felt like really sterile and something that you would put on a form in a government office. And so we've decided to call each other wives. That's going to be my wife.
My life.
The thing is, being non-binary doesn't mean that you never get to use gendered language again. That's one of the really exciting, blessed things about being non-binary is I only get to use words that I want to use, not words that I have to use. A lot of non-binary people still use gendered language depending on the situation, like a lot of them still call themselves mother or father. In this case, we both grew up and were socialized as women. At least I still identify as a lesbian. There's something kind of cute and sweet about being a wife, and that's what I am, cute and sweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you have other questions about our non-binary wedding, let me know.
I gotta tell you the truth. For a while, I resented the phrase love is love. This phrase has become a staple of Pride Month. You see it everywhere on t-shirts, coffee mugs, in social media comment sections. And it's not that I disagree with the sentiment. I think it is beautiful. All love is valid and all love is right. And I love knowing that people agree that folks deserve to love who they love freely and without pause. But what I now need to hear is that they also love and support who I am. It feels like the world is pretty ready to accept who I love, but I'm consistently reminded that so many are not yet ready to accept who I am. I feel that folks' perception of this phrase as an all-encompassing statement of support for all LGBTQIA+ people and experiences reflects the way that trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people have been positioned in our community since the beginning of the Pride movement. After Stonewall, there were many, even within our community, who outwardly claimed that trans and gender non-conforming people were holding the movement back, which is heartbreaking considering the Pride movement exists thanks to trans women of color, specifically Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. And we can see how this unfortunate truth still bleeds into today. The fact that the most accessible, safe queer spaces are gay bars. That trans representation in the media has only recently expanded beyond dark, violent, and harmful circumstances. And how much louder the public outcry was over the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida than the hundreds of anti-trans bills being proposed and signed into law all over the country. It has taken many years for trans and non-binary people to have our bold emergence from the shadows. We are finally visible, and that is a gift because we can't see parts of ourselves until we have them reflected back to us. Folks are finally able to see that it is possible to be outwardly trans and proud, and this has paved the way for so many trans and non-binary people to feel safe to come out. But visibility without power leads to violence. For me, folks' use of the phrase love is love has become a reminder that those who hold the closest proximity to privilege by inherently falling closer in line to a false societal image of a human default receive safety, power, and privilege first. But I've spent a lot of time thinking about this phrase and asking myself, what is love? And claiming my truth has revealed to me that love is not something that we do. Love is what we are. We experience love when we are in alignment with ourselves, when we are living truthfully, when we are with people who make us feel safe to be ourselves, when we do things that spark joy, when we experience feelings of resonance. So now, when I hear the phrase love is love, I think about the fact that connecting to the truth of who I am has reconnected me to my love. I am finally living in my truth, and my truth lives in my love. And you know what? Love is love. We are love. And staying in our love is how we will continue to expand into a world that supports and elevates all the many ways that our love manifests. I am so proud to be me, and I hope you feel the same. I love you.
So you can still get pregnant even if you took Plan B during ovulation? Yes. That's because Plan B was designed to delay ovulation, and so if you're already ovulating, the egg has been released and so the pill can't do its job. You're correct. But because it's hard to know when you're ovulating, it's always good to use other methods of contraception. Yes. But if you did take Plan B during ovulation, will it harm your body? No. And if you've already taken Plan B and you're not sure if you're ovulating, it's best to still take a pregnancy test 3 weeks later. You're correct. Why don't more people know about this? Because what?
Happy Pride, everyone. Let's kick off Pride Month by talking about Black trans icon Jackie Shane. Jackie was born in Nashville, Tennessee in 1940. She always performed in feminine clothing, even in the Jim Crow South in the 1950s. The Jim Crow South is obviously not a hospitable environment for a Black trans woman, so she sought to escape it by joining a traveling carnival. She wound up in Toronto, where she rose to prominence within the city's music scene. Jackie's hit song, Any Other Way, rose to number 2 on the Chum charts in Toronto and a more modest number 68 across Canada. It's a fabulous song and is the track behind this video right now. Jackie kept her gender identity pretty ambiguous, and if you look at old bills, she is referred to in male pronouns. She disappeared from the public eye in the 1970s, and it wasn't discovered until 2017 that she actually is a trans woman and goes by she, her pronouns. I'm gonna do a part 2 because there's a lot more to say about this woman.
Hey, good morning. Do you remember the time in American history when white people were so afraid of a particular item of clothing in jazz music that the military ran through the streets of Los Angeles, beating the crap out of anybody caught wearing it? True story. It's called the Zoot Suit Riots. You should look into it. It all started when a man named Jose Diaz was killed at a party, and white people used his murder as a way to demonize Latino culture. Now, Zoot Suits got their start in jazz clubs during the Harlem Renaissance. Men were wearing baggy suits that were 40 inches at the knees, tapered down to 10 or 12 around the ankle, with suit jackets that came all the way down to the hip or to the knee, with these flashy watch chains, hats, and a feather in it that went all the way out to here. That was a Zoot Suit. Think Jim Carrey's character in The Mask. And by 1943, the Zoot Suit was everywhere, except in white people's homes. And, as we well know, when white people don't understand something, they fear it and then demonize it heavily. So in Los Angeles in 1943, the Pachuco culture and the Zoot Suit was demonized by white America. And white servicemen didn't like it because they said that the suit was wasteful. Look, you're using all of that fabric. There's no need for that. You need to wear less clothes and give the rest of that fabric to us so we can go fight a war in the other side of the world. And many Latinos and Pachucos were like, nah, we good. And that ain't do nothing but piss white people off. So then a fight broke out between 12 members of the military and a couple Pachucos. And the military members got their butts kicked. And they ran back to the military base, formed a strategy, got a couple other guys, and then they came back to the city of Los Angeles, and they beat everybody wearing a Zoot Suit. And I don't mean 1 or 2 military members. No, I'm talking about hundreds of military members. They drug Mexican Americans out of their homes, out of their cars, out of businesses, wherever they were. If you were wearing a Zoot Suit or you were rocking a ducktail, they beat the crap out of you. And when they couldn't find anybody wearing a Zoot Suit, they beat up anybody who wasn't white. Filipinos and black people, if you weren't white, you got beat. Matter of fact, had a black man still in his work uniform. They beat the crap out of him and then gouged his eye out with a pocket knife. And military members from other states were coming into Los Angeles just to beat up on non-white people. And the police, like in Uvalde, stood around and did nothing, or they helped beat up non-white people. Hundreds of Mexican Americans, Latinos, Filipinos, and blacks were beaten senselessly by military personnel. And it only stopped when the United States government was like, hey, y'all can't leave the barracks anymore. And on June 8th, they couldn't leave. The very next day, the city of Los Angeles banned Zoot Suits. You can get fined and spend time in jail for wearing a Zoot Suit, and that law is still on the books today. And all that violence helped to start the Chicano movement. This is white culture.
Have you ever heard about the transgender bisexual teenage empress of Rome? No? Well, let me tell you about Elagabalus. Elagabalus came into power in the early 2nd century. Although she was assigned male at birth, she wore wigs and makeup and used she, her pronouns. She had multiple partners and would always like to call herself their wife, their mistress, or their queen. She famously offered vast sums of wealth to any physician that would give her bottom surgery. 1800 years later, most transgender women totally understand how that feels. She quickly grew to hate the political establishment in Rome. She literally went to war with the Senate and won. Eventually, she was assassinated. Some say for her debauchery. So anyway, next time somebody tells you that transgender youth are a new thing, just know that at one point, one of them ruled the most powerful empire in the world.
Women took up arms against the government for reproductive rights. The GOP would ban assault rifles yesterday.
Hey!
Bad news. Did you hear about the mass shooting outside Tulsa?
Oh, terrible tragedy. Thoughts and prayers. We really have to do something about these men who just go
No, DC, this time it was a woman.
A woman mass shooter? Oh no, that really is bad news.
I just think this is what happens when you give women guns. They start shooting people with them. I mean, do they even know what guns are for?
I don't feel safe anymore walking down my own street alone at night. Me, a man.
I am convening a series of congressional hearings on the matter of women and guns, because even one death from the bullet of a female gun owner is too many.
What are my constituents supposed to do? Not compliment random women on the street because they might be carrying a gun? We cannot allow our lives to be dictated by that kind of fear.
So you see, the trigger was specifically designed for a man's grip and a man's temperament.
Look, all I'm saying is, maybe you shouldn't blame women for wanting guns. Maybe you should blame the constant societal messaging that tells us we are safe only as long as the men around us allow us to be. So if you have a problem with women carrying firearms, you can roll up your sleeves and actually work to create a society where women feel safe and equal. Or you can just ban all guns.
The ayes have it. Possession of any firearm is now illegal in the state of California. We did it, boys.
I really thought that was going to go the other way.
Wow, Diane, you just passed sensible gun legislation.
I can't believe this country hates women more than it loves guns.
No?
I guess I should stop looking out.
Y'all be like, ooh, gender envy. Where'd you get your gender? Okay, this? You're kidding me. This is prehistoric Hibe Bussy. The pink print. I will never look like this.
Hey guys, it's Pride Month. You know what that means. Every straight person in your life owes you $300. So don't be shy. Send it to them. I'll wait. Hey, straighty. Open up your fucking wallet.
In fact, I know that I'm here to make people feel very uncomfortable.
I was at a dinner party and we were speaking about the upcoming wedding of a person in our circle. And we all just loved the bride. She was in her early 20s and just lovely, bubbly. So we were waxing lyrically about her. And then the wife of a friend of mine turned to me and said, remember when you used to be like that, Elia? Nice. I smiled, with my lips closed just to hide my elongating teeth, and asked her, what do you mean? Of course, because he knows me, my husband immediately nudged me under the table because he knows that what do you mean is a sign that there was going to be a serious conversation coming. She continued, you didn't used to be, so serious. You used to be nicer. And I continued, without a smile, what do you mean? By this time, all of the table was starting to be silenced because, drama. She said, well, sometimes you seem so angry. And that was what I was waiting for. I asked her if I looked angry. She immediately started to backtrack, people started to intervene. And my response was, how come you are all not angry? Of course I'm angry. I'm always angry. The fact that you are all not angry is concerning. If anger is not your state of being, background emotion that you have regarding the state of the world, that is not visible at all times, but that wraps itself like veins around bones underneath your skin. That means that you're either naive regarding the state of the world, or that you don't care. So leave me with my anger. If that means that I'm not nice,
When I first started questioning whether or not I have autism, I initially went up to my mom and was like, hey mom, I think I'm autistic. And she's the type of person who's very skeptical about everything. I told her I have anxiety or I have depression. Oh, you need to drink more water and you need to meditate and you need to exercise more. But I tell this woman I think I'm autistic and she goes, yeah, probably. That would make sense. And then a couple months later, I went up to my dad and I was like, hey dad, I think I'm autistic. And he was very shocked at first. But after I explained to him a bit about what autism is, he sat down and he was like, I think you and me and your mom are both autistic. And that's why we never thought anything you did was weird growing up or out of the normal, because that seems just so normal to me. But, yeah, I relate to everything you just said. And now I just thought those things were normal. I didn't know it was weird.
It's really funny when non-binary and trans people become parents and then people in their comments are like, how do you explain that to your kid? How do they know what's going on? Because their 4-year-old understands completely fine and you, a 35-year-old, don't. You're really telling the entire internet that you, as an adult, cannot grasp this thing that a literal child can. Like, damn, bro, they don't even know how to Google things. You literally have the advantage.
Does testosterone make me gay?
My theory is because a lot of us repressed our femininity when we were younger. We were all told that you're a girl and you have to act this way, and it was something we had to fight against. And even the thing of like everyone grows up straight. In my day, it was very much kind of like that. So it was like, you like men, and I was like, the fuck I do. But now that I am transitioning and becoming more masculine, I'm feeling much more comfortable with my feminine and therefore okay to let someone else be the masculine in the dynamic.
So I finally got through the comment section in most of my videos, okay? If you don't know, I read the comments. I read all the comments. There's only one video that I haven't been able to get through them all, and that's because I have a ridiculous number of comments on them, and I don't think they're talking to me. I think they're talking to each other, so that's fine. But I finally got through the comments, and there's one that has stuck out at me. It was a comment exchange between a white woman and a black woman, and the last two comments, the black woman said, "I said what I needed to say." And the white woman said, "You could have said it nicer, though." And even as I say that, it sits wrong in my chest. Because the first thing I thought was, y'all are going to stop tone policing black women. Y'all are going to stop tone policing black women. You expect us to come in here and take shit and respond to it with a gentle tone, with a soft voice, with a smile. No. We are allowed to feel our full range of emotions and display them. We are allowed to be frustrated, just like you are allowed to be frustrated. We are allowed to be angry, just like you are allowed to be angry. We are allowed to stand up for ourselves, just like you are allowed to stand up for yourselves. The problem is that you expect us to defer to you, to defer to your emotions, to defer to your will. But we stopped doing that long ago, and y'all are going to have to get on board and deal with it. So the next time that you feel the need to correct a black woman, the next time you feel the need to tell a black woman that she can be nicer, she can be kinder, she can be softer, don't.
Calling all trans people, what is the stupidest hoop that you have ever had to jump through? Because for me, this legal name change, 4 years in the making. They dismissed the first case without even telling me, so then I had to reapply. And then, after 3 years of waiting, I finally get a court date, have to show up at the court date, then I have to go to the Social Security office. After the Social Security, I have a 2-month wait on my driver's license, go in for my driver's license, and they turn the computer over to me and they say, "There's a problem." And I say, "What could it possibly be now?" And they show me a picture of myself with a red flag next to it that says imposter. And they say I have to go home and get my birth certificate as a proof of identification. And I said, "I am right here. That is my face. I was born 7 pounds 4 ounces. A lot has changed since I was given a birth certificate. How is that identification? That is my picture."